Good afternoon. I think it's afternoon, and it's Friday. I'm driving around Soweto here and there, and I thought about what I wrote earlier on Facebook about the life of a tree. I've written that we sit under trees, we pluck their fruit, we cut them down to make wood, we build houses. And the question is, what is in it for the tree? How does the tree benefit from all that? And the answer is obvious. Not in any way. Because no tree exists for itself. Of course, you know that the clouds don't need rain, right? You know that no river needs water. You know that the ocean does not need water. What am I saying to you? Let me tell you why there are so many divorces. Let me tell you why there is so much corruption in government. Let me tell you why there is so much corruption in church circles. Let me tell you why there is even corruption in politics and all other spheres of human governance. Because people have not processed the teaching of Jesus that we live for God. These people are trying to reward themselves. When a husband starts cheating, it's because he thinks he's not getting enough comfort and enough sex and enough recognition. So the tree wants to pay itself. The tree wants to sit under its shade. Apple trees don't eat apples. You know that. You know that banana plantations don't eat bananas. The reality that we live for God and that God is going to reward us one day would save this generation from selfishness. It will save this generation from corruption. You look at all these preachers who are doing a great job. They are healing people. They are saving people. They are delivering people. But something says to them, you're not getting reward. And that's why they start putting a price to the gospel. A man like that has not internalized the reality of eternal rewards. He has not internalized them. He's trying to pay himself. When you've been preaching the gospel for 50 years and you see people prosper around you, you see people have money around you, something within you snaps because you have lost context of eternity. You have lost context of eternal reward. You have lost context of that. When a preacher takes his eyes off Jesus, he wants immediate gratification. There are a lot of beautiful girls who come to church, and there are a lot of handsome men who come to church. And the only way, as a man of God, you could stay away from immorality and adultery is realizing that all there is in the world is the lust of the eyes, the lust of the flesh, and the pride of life. That's what 1 John 2:15 says. How do you look at these beautiful girls and not touch them? By realizing that I have rewards for holiness, there's reward for chastity, the other side of the grave. Anybody who has not set their side beyond the grave will never be faithful. Look, I've worked for government. There was a time many years ago, about 19 years, my salary was a paltry, I think it was 600,000 or so per annum. That's lousy, man. The kind of work I did 19 years ago, and my salary was only 600,000 rand. And right now, you adjudicate tenders. Our fleet tender alone was 190 million per annum. How do I not pay myself? How do I sit there on such a lousy salary, sign off checks for millions of rand? I remain faithful because I realize that the salary is not a reward. The salary is just a convenience, just to keep me going, because my reward comes beyond the grave. Nobody who has not set their eyes beyond the grave can ever be faithful. The corruption won't end. The adultery will never end. The abuse will never end. The instant gratification will never end. until we realize that for God we are created, through God we are created, by God we are created, to give glory and honor and praise unto his name. What am I saying to you? It's time to revisit your understanding of why you walk this earth. You know, when you think human beings are the only God's creation on earth, you get messed up. We are not the only things God created. By looking at nature, you realize that we could never have a barbecue, a braai, unless some animal was killed. You realize that we could never have warm winters unless some fire was cut, some wood was, a tree was cut down. You realize that we'd never have an egg unless some chicken's life was aborted. When you begin to realize that, you begin to see that life is financed by sacrifice. Somebody or something sacrificed for you to have the comforts you have today. Every benefit you have in this life is as a result of something else's sacrifice. Jesus said in the book of John 12:24, unless a kernel of wheat falls to the ground, it remains as is. It's only if it dies that it begins to multiply. Everything you enjoy now is because somebody sacrificed. And we know that Jesus Christ himself, we know that he gave his life and sacrificed for our sin and our salvation. And now we know that because he gave up his life, God has gained so many children. What are you sacrificing today? Jesus said, unless you take your cross daily and follow me, you can't even be my disciple. But that is impossible if you don't deny yourself. I say to couples, what if your spouse is your divine assignment? What if for that man or that woman to do what God sent them to do on earth, somebody like you was going to have to be in their lives to forgive them, to nurture them, to love them unconditionally? What if you are unhappy today in your marriage because you think that that marriage is your reward, not your assignment? What about your rebellious child? The reason you give up on them is you don't realize maybe there is a reason God gave you the kind of parent you are. I want you to think about these things, and I want you next time when you stand on the beach, remember that the ocean does not need the water. Next time you go to your tap, remember the tap does not get thirsty. The fridge never needs food. The oven does not need food. The grocery cabinets don't need food. The trees don't need their food. They exist at God's design for the benefit of others. Monday, I'm back on the issue of the regulation of the church, because we've been collecting data, doing some research, and as we prepare for the so-called peer review in February, which you are all boycotting, by the way, and as we prepare for the new commissioner for the Civil Rights Commission, as we prepare for the next move of the enemy, we need to think certain things through. But today, we're just talking among ourselves. May the Lord greatly bless you.